Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another theory type video to start, and then we'll get into some Q&A questions. The lead one for this one is, do we think that Gabriel and Rick actually buried some of the guns? And spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen episode 4 for The Walking Dead season 7 yet. So leading into episode 5, I thought this was a good one to lead with the Q&A. This one was sent to me from Jason H, as well as quite a few other people as well too sent this through. And Jason said they buried a ton of guns in Maggie's quote-unquote grave. So I thought this one was interesting, and after watching the episode again, you do see some kind of tension between Gabriel and Rick, Gabriel being the one who did dig the grave. But, I mean, that could be, of course, also because they're lying to Negan. It seems kind of strange that Rick would lie to Negan about Maggie's death, but not about, finding even one extra gun or something like this and not even keeping one extra. It is weird that is the case, but that said, they did have a ton of guns before, and they got even more from the satellite group that they killed as part of the Saviors. So over the seasons, they have had quite the armory, and I can't help but think that, when you're watching the episode, it's like, don't you think they prepared a little bit for the guns that Negan might come and get, half of what they have? Wouldn't it make sense that they would kind of store or save any? Now, Gabriel does say that it was nice digging a grave he didn't have to put any bodies into it or anybody into it. I like this theory, though. I think it's a good idea and a good theory. Because what else are they going to do for these survivors? I mean, you have a few that are out there that do have some firearms. You have Carol and Morgan that probably have, a few pieces of ammunition on them, a few shells and everything. They might be able to get a little bit more from the kingdom if they need to. You've got Jesus and the Hilltop, and the Hilltop probably has some, but I don't know how much. And then, of course, you have Tara and Heath, who have maybe a little bit of their own. We don't know how much they took with them on their run, but I think we can assume that they did take at least a couple guns. So we'll see how this all shakes down and whether or not it ends up being true at all. There was a focus on the grave, so I like the theory, and I do think that it would be weird to see the survivors with absolutely zero guns. So I do think it is a good theory, and if you guys missed it earlier, I did another video where I gave my thoughts on the Daryl blinking Morse code theory, because there's a Morse code sign behind Michonne when she's in the house when she's getting ready in the morning to get her sniper rifle. So check out that video if you guys haven't seen it, and write your comments below. What do you think about the guns being buried? Do you think the survivors were prepared and they had a few numbers kind of off the books, so to speak, that they buried just in case as kind of a backup reserve? I would think so. I would think that they would, but we'll see in the next few episodes if they had that kind of foresight. And the next one is from AndrewSaur, who said, "Hey Trev, have you noticed that the TV ratings have been declining? What are your thoughts on that?" And the numbers work like this for US on the wiki. You can check it out yourselves if you want to. Episode 1, the premiere, which of course we knew was going to be huge, that got 17 million US viewers. Surprisingly, wasn't the biggest episode ever, was narrowly beaten by No Sanctuary, so that's number 2. It's the runner-up, second biggest episode of The Walking Dead ever in terms of ratings. But after it being cooked so long all summer and us waiting to see who Negan was going to kill, I still can say I think it's the biggest episode ever, pretty much. Then episode 2 fell quite a bit to 12.46 million. And then it fell again with episode 3 to 11.72 million. And then episode 4 fell a little bit more to 11.4 million. So I was kind of a little surprised, but at the same time, I sort of expected it to fall at least a little bit, maybe not quite as far as it has. To put it in perspective, 11.4 million US viewers is the least we've had since season 4, midway through Dead Weight. So that's the episode with the governor after live bait. And you can understand why it would be. In the promo, they kind of let people know that the next week's episode was going to be a governor episode. So you can see why people would watch the first one, live bait, and not come back for Dead Weight because they probably didn't want to see the governor because they hate him. And then they came back for Too Far Gone, but even not that many people came back for that, only 12 million. After that, it got boosted a lot because that was an incredible episode. It tends to, after you have a really good episode, the next episode tends to do even better. So really, these results, these numbers are the lowest since that episode, and then prior to that episode from season 3, you've got a few near the end, This Sorrowful Life. So it's like season 3 to season 4 type ratings. So all that growth, according to the last 2 episodes, has kind of been gone down a little bit. We've been talking about it recently. I won't beat it to death, as we've gone over this a number of times in the videos recently in the last little while. Season 5 is the peak for Walking Dead. We will see if it can surpass Season 5, if we get kind of better, any better ratings, viewership than that. But right now, in terms of, if you look at each episode from the season, you look at it all the way through, they were averaging about 14 million, I want to say, from first glance here. 14.5 probably million per episode. And this season is definitely lower than that, and even lower than season 6, if you look at kind of the averages and everything. So, not too surprising. I mean, we've had a few episodes now that are a little slower paced. The Well, was that kind of an episode. The Cell also, and then Service had some great comedy in that though, and it had some hidden Easter eggs and stuff like that, and some reveals for Judith's father and things like that. So it had some really good stuff in it, even though it's a little clunky here and there. I think that next week's Go-Getters should be a little bit higher now that we got to see Negan with Rick and some of the others, and some really funny and kind of intense sequences. So I think it'll get better. But yeah, I'm not really surprised that it did kind of go down a bit after that premiere. Because also, too, if you look at that premiere, I mean, that was a pretty bleak, really, really dark, sad premiere. So you can understand that some people, after watching that, may not want to come back for the next one because they're still kind of, dealing with what they saw in the first one. Maybe they're like, oh, this was so painful, I don't know if I want to watch another episode. So, yeah, write your comments below. Let me know what you guys think about the declining ratings of The Walking Dead. It doesn't really surprise me that much, is really what I'm saying. A little bit, but not too much. Hunter G says, am I the only one who didn't like how the camera zoomed out last episode? So he's talking about after the intro where you see Negan and it like zooms out. What does he say at that part? Like, hot dog or something like that. It like zooms out on him. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So there's some really kind of silly, like goofy things in this one. It was directed by David Boyd, who hasn't directed too many episodes. He did Heads Up, and he did, Strangers, which is kind of also Forget. Forget's a good episode, though. And Internment. Oh, he did Internment. So Internment's great. So yeah, he's not a spring chicken. He's done quite a few, but I guess with this one, he was probably going for a comedy feel. Zoom ins and zoom outs, especially when they're done fast, are typically comedic, and I think that's what he was going for with that. And I think it worked out pretty good. I mean, with Negan, what a weird character. You have to mix in the intensity with the comedy, with the playfulness, and kind of the over-dramatic stuff that he does, and kind of getting his body into things. And yeah, I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan has done a good job. It's certainly weird to place him as a character. He's kind of all over the place with regards to that. Gaming Jesus says, Q&A, how do you think Shane would have handled Negan? I've already answered this one recently. No different. It wouldn't matter, really. It doesn't matter, because if Negan has over 100 dudes and Rick took out, like, Rick and the gang took out, like, almost 50, or some people count it as over 50, then they did pretty damn well. They did about as well as you're going to do, but eventually those numbers are going to crack down on you. And, it's really hard if you only have maybe 10, 20, 30 fighters against 150 to start. I mean, that is difficult to win that war. You might win a battle, as Rick's group did, one battle or two, but winning that whole war against a community like that, if you have firearms and they have firearms like that, you don't have an advantage like that, it's going to be really tough, of course. Joseph Price says, Chandler Riggs' acting is absolutely horrendous. Everything else was good. A lot of people didn't like his acting in this episode. I think it might have been the lines, like him saying, before you find out how dangerous we really are, something like that. It just was so weird and out of place. I don't know if it's entirely his fault, but a lot of people pointed that out, that it was really took them out of the experience. So, yeah, that's not good. Next one's from Necro. He says, the two zombies Negan killed were dressed like Glenn and Abraham. Really? So I don't know. I got to verify that. I haven't verified it yet, but that's really cool. If they were actually dressed like Glenn and Abraham, that's really cool. And also, when you see Daryl blinking, there's a couple of parts there where, Negan's like asking Rick if he sees. And it's just really weird placement for the blinking thing and kind of the Morse code theory. So I may even have to do like a Things You Missed video for this episode, because it's loaded with kind of things like that. There's also a sign that says like vengeance on it and stuff like that, and Rick sees it. So it's a good episode in terms of what they put into it, I think. They loaded it quite a bit with kind of the hidden messages and stuff. Really cool. And we'll do a couple more of this one's from Med 1965, and he says, hey Trev, I wanted to ask, where are Tara and Heath right now? It will be interesting to see how Tara reacts to Glenn's death after he showed her sympathy after the fall of the prison, and she helped Glenn find Maggie. So yeah, just how Tara and Heath react. And that's one thing about this season, is that because they went with episodes 2 and 3 with a different spot, they didn't really show Rick and the others returning to Alexandria. They kind of skipped it, and they didn't show Rick explaining to everybody what they'd encountered. I think some of that could have been far more interesting than some of the stuff they showed us at the hilltop. I think some of those sequences that they skipped over could have been really, really cool compared to what they actually opted to show us anyway. So I'm not sure if it was to keep costs down, that we don't have to pay Andrew Lincoln and everybody else for more scenes in different episodes, because I think they get paid by episode, if you didn't know that. So that could be why we see so many bottle episodes, is so they don't have to pay Andrew Lincoln $100,000 per episode, or Chandler Riggs or whoever the hell else gets paid like 6 figures per episode. I don't know. I think it's something like that, though. So, yeah, so I think that might be why. But really, it should be good to see them finally get caught up and see what happens with Tara and Heath, because, yeah, they're, if you look at Rick's group, they're so scattered right now. Daryl's taken, two were killed in the premiere. Carol and Morgan are over there. Tara and Heath are over there. You can understand why Rick's like, we can't fight back, even though Michonne wants to kind of try maybe to do it. He's like, no, we just can't. That is, unless they buried some guns, so we'll see if that's true or not. Big Boss Gaming, this will be the last one, says, Q&A after the creepy guy asked Enid to say please about the balloons. That is so freaking pedo creepy. Does this put to death that Enid is a spy or related? Enid theory. Thanks, Trev. Keep up the good work, brother. So I'll end with this one. I never liked the theory for the saviors. I like the theory for the wolves, that maybe Enid could be one of the wolves, because she looks like him, and she's like eating a turtle, and she's in the beginning of the episode that features the wolves. Is it JSS? Yeah, one of them like that, or one of those episodes. I don't remember exactly, but off the top of my head. But yeah, so I would say, for her, yeah, it obviously does, but also, I don't know who like, I never thought that, so I don't know. Maybe if some of you guys thought that, I think it does, yeah, obviously, or people who thought that she poisoned Maggie or something. I don't know. But, yeah, but that was a really creepy, weird sequence with the older guy, and she's like, what, like 14 or something? It was weird. So anyway, that'll be it for today's video, guys. If you liked this one, please don't forget to thumb it up below. Check out the Morse code video earlier today. And, subscribe and share, all that good stuff. That's it for this video today. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. It's Trev saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.